I had decided to go to college because I had spoken with my guidance counselor, who told me basically that I could not apply to a university. She actually encouraged me to do something lesser, which was a community college. And I had a best friend who was applying and came to me and said, you know what, I'm going to college, you should go with me. So the both of us applied to Western Kentucky University and got accepted, unbeknownst to my counselor, who believed that I couldn't do it. And so my reasoning for applying was because my best friend encouraged me to do so, and I'm so glad she did. Really, the negativity that I heard from the guidance counselor telling me that I couldn't go was definitely inspiring and motivational for me, because I really wanted to see if I could prove her wrong and go. But the person that really motivated me to follow through on that was probably my best friend, who said, no, I think you should apply, and apply with me, and brought me an application to do it. And so I could not be happier to have such a great person in my life who, at that age, turned around and said, you know what, I think that the teachers are wrong, or the guidance counselor is wrong. I think you can do it, and encouraged me to go with her. So definitely the person I give credit to for taking me with her. Again, my decision was really based off of my best friend, because I wasn't encouraged at home to pursue higher education. My best friend just came to me and she had a list of different schools she was applying to. Western Kentucky at that time was the one at the top. And so I just applied on a whim, really, and because she had encouraged me to, but never really took the time to look into all the different schools, because I was unfortunately uneducated about that. Didn't even think I could do it, much less. And so I didn't look into different universities. But again, still loved my experience at Western Kentucky, and glad that I moved forward with doing it. My first year of college was very eye-opening. I think that's really when I began to learn the difference between a first-generation student and a student who has been blessed with the opportunity to have other individuals in their home who have gone to college. Because I was a first-generation student, I remember my mom pretty much dropping me off, putting my bags in the middle of the floor, and that was it. And I come from a single-parent home, and so just my mom alone was the individual responsible for taking me to school. But I remember not knowing what to do when I was there. I didn't know who I should have been getting connected with. I didn't know much about filling out a housing application, financial aid, none of that stuff. And my mom didn't either. And so she couldn't encourage me to do otherwise. When she got up and left that day after dropping me off, I listened to my other friends who were like, yeah, my mom left a basket and all this other stuff. And at one point I remember thinking, why didn't my mom do that? But as I kind of furthered in my career academically, personally, I realized I can't be mad at my parents for not knowing what to do, because they didn't go through that experience themselves. And so it was just a lot of just not knowing, just not aware of all that was out there or where to start at, much less. So it was kind of confusing my first day, but eventually I figured it out. There was a lot of adversity I think I faced, from just a lack of others being aware of what a first-generation student was even. And I say that to say that I think even some of the staff at the time at Western Kentucky University wasn't necessarily focused on first-generation students. And so there was this expectation when I walked in the classroom that I should know, or I should have known. And there was a lot of things I didn't know and was not aware of. And so just that whole academic professionalism, engaging with the faculty, asking certain questions, none of those things that I knew, and I don't think that anybody really paid attention to why I didn't know. And I would say that that was probably the hardest thing, because everyone assumed, well, if she's not engaging with me, she must not want to, versus maybe she's not engaging because she doesn't know what's expected of her here. And so I'm really excited about this first generation movement here on UK's campus, because it's really bringing attention to the fact that some of these students, it's not that they don't know, but it's that they don't know how. And I think that's a really big difference in how we interact with students, especially first generation, because it's not that they don't want to, they just really need someone to explain what is the importance of me doing that. And other students who have been blessed with the opportunity to have someone in their lives to explain that to them, you know, they do that automatically, versus I think for me, I can speak for myself, but as a first generation student, I didn't know what was the value of me connecting with a faculty member. Why should I be involved on campus? And so I would say that was probably the hardest thing, is coming to those conclusions on my own. There's so much. I really believe that my experience as a first generation student has shaped how I interact with a lot of the students, because I don't take anything for granted. And so as the Assistant Director of Academic Initiatives with the Office of Residence Life, my goal is to make sure that I am meeting students where they're at and bringing the services to them, because I'm aware that a lot of times they're not necessarily going to walk into my office and ask me for help. And so my goal is to bring the help to them, and again, kind of do that prying and that digging to figure out what it is that they need. So a lot of the services that I do, live and learning programs, house calls, are all programs that bring services into the residence halls, so students don't have to go searching, but now it's right downstairs in your lobby. Now you can talk to your academic advisor. Now you can speak with the Office of CCO and how to get involved on campus, because they're right downstairs in your lobby. So just bringing those services to them, getting them connected with faculty through live and learning programs. Faculty are actually teaching classes in the residence hall, which is amazing, because now you see faculty interacting with students in an environment outside of the classroom, and students feel more of a connection to the faculty members through those programs. So just bringing a lot of the services that I know that are awesome here on campus and bringing them, to the student, I think really makes a difference in how they engage with UK in general. There are probably two things that I would suggest for all first generation students to take into account. One of them being, don't at all believe the naysayers. Don't at all believe those who may say that you can't do it. And reason being, I went from a counselor who told me that I shouldn't even consider going to college to actually graduating with my master's degree, summa cum laude. So I wish I could take that degree back to my counselor and say, look, you know, not only did I do it, I went above that. And so do not believe the naysayers, and don't believe any of the negative connotations that you may hear about being a first generation student, because you can succeed. My second encouragement is that know that you will succeed if you make yourself open and available to all of the resources that are out there for you. As I talk about some of the things that I have gone through and the conclusions that I've come to, I didn't do that alone. There were faculty members that did say, Trisha, come to my office so we can talk a little bit more about your future and your career. I had a resident director, hence my career in Office of Residence Life, but my resident director at Western Kentucky University really tapped into who are you personally and how can I help. But if I didn't make myself open and available to all of those resources and all those individuals who are reaching out to me, I'm not sure that I would have been as successful. And so really take advantage of all those individuals that are saying, you know, I'm here to help, and utilize those services. You'll be amazed at how much you grow, not only academically, but personally.